Now that you understand your requirement, you should prepare by getting yourself up to speed on key leasing concepts. You'll soon be discussing these with your broker and others, and eventually you'll be negotiating. Here's a list of what I think you should understand when working on a lease acquisition. If you've worked on an office lease in the past, then you'll have some familiarity with these items. Either way, it helps to refresh at the beginning of the project. If you need some help with these, I've created a course that walks you through each one in detail and explains what you need to know. Here's a link that will take you there, or you can find it in my instructor profile. I also recommend having a conversation with your broker. He or she will be happy to discuss this list in detail and answer any questions you might have. Now that you've refreshed yourself on key leasing concepts, it's time to do some market research. This is the most fundamental part of the process because this is how you discover what's available. The good news is that your broker will do the heavy lifting. You can do some of your own research online, but you'll find that the information is often incomplete and unreliable. You'll want someone verifying it for accuracy and filling in the blanks. Your broker will create a report for you showing a list of available spaces. Some reports are summarized and some are quite detailed. I recommend starting with a summary report and then moving to a more detailed version when you've narrowed down the list. Here's a list of the details you will often find in a market report. The location of the property, the size of the space, the rental rate, the tenant improvement allowance, any amenities near the location, public transportation, the labor pool, any incentives offered by the municipality, and information about employee commute. Property information can often be confusing, so make sure you understand everything that's in the report. I recommend that you schedule a meeting or a phone call with your broker and go over it in detail. Don't be afraid to ask questions and don't be embarrassed if you don't understand something. Commercial real estate has its own language and no one expects you to know it ahead of time. Even the most basic element, pricing, can be hard to understand if you don't know the difference between a triple net, a gross, and a full-service lease. You can see that the last item I have on this list is employee commute time. If you're concerned about how a move will impact commute times, your broker can create something called a drive time map, which is also referred to as a proximity map or a heat map. It plots your employees' home addresses and then shows the approximate commute time to a specified location. Here's an example of a drive time map. The blue dots you see littered throughout the map are employee home addresses. There are 3 stars that represent the current office location and 2 prospective locations. People who live outside the red line have a commute that is greater than 45 minutes, outside the blue line greater than 30 minutes, and outside the green line greater than 15 minutes. This map may seem like a rudimentary analysis, but you'd be surprised how often companies do no analysis at all. They pick the new location based on their current location, or they make their best guess as to where the bulk of their employees live. I caution you that without a map like this, it's quite easy to be wrong about where a central location would be for your company. These maps are also a good tool for building consensus if you have people with different beliefs about how to shorten employee commute times. Also, this info can be broken down and analyzed in many different ways, particularly if you want to differentiate who is driving and who's using public transportation.